Hi, buckle up, because today we'll show you 10 strange medical conditions. Weird, sad, but all true. So, let's begin! Ten. Spatial orientation phenomenon. Imagine seeing the world upside down. This is Bojana Danilovic from Serbia, one of the rarest cases of people who see the world from down to up. The doctors aren't certain what causes this condition, but it's a neurological one, since Bojana's eyes work normally. Well, actually, no one would notice that something is wrong if not for the way she reads or uses computer or phone. She adapted to it. Not crazy enough? You're too used to see the world like Bojana does. As babies, for the first few days of life, we see the world upside down. Then our brains learn to flip the image entering our retina. Yep, the image you actually see is this. But your brain flips it automatically. Nature's first video edit. Cool, right? 9. Tree-man syndrome, also known as epidermodysplasia verruciformis or Lewandowski-Lutz dysplasia. It's a very rare autosomal recessive hereditary skin disorder, causing person to be extremely prone to HPV, human papilloma virus infection. And it's that virus infection that causes skin to grow tree-bark-like warts. With time, those hard keratinous growths may lead to carcinoma. The main treatment is the regular removal of the warts and control of the infection from spreading. Sometimes more than one operation a year is necessary as warts have a tendency to regrow. It happens that the patient cannot stand the pain of recovery from multiple operations and resigns from the next surgical treatment, stopping the process before the disease is under control, which leads to worsening of the symptoms. 8. Cornucutaneum. Cutaneous horn is another skin disease causing people to grow keratinous skin tumors, mostly in the form of a horn. It's speculated that this condition, affecting mostly older people, is caused by being exposed to radiation. The treatment, apart from physically removing of the horn, requires further care, from surgery through radiation therapy to even chemotherapy. In 1/5 of the cases, the benign tumor turns into squamous cell carcinoma, which is one of the skin cancers. 7. Lamellar ichthyosis. The fish scales. Ichthyosis, from Greek ichthys, fish, is a genetic disorder causing human skin to be dry, thick and scaly. There is more than 20 types of ichthyosis. They differ in appearance, genetic cause and mode of inheritance, which can vary from recessive to dominant, autosomal or X-linked, depending on the sex of the carrier. In the case of lamellar ichthyosis, the first symptom is called collodion baby, when a newborn seems to have an extra layer of skin. After 2 to 4 weeks, the collodion babies lose their extra skin, and then the proper diagnosis is possible. Only 10% of those collodion babies will not develop any skin conditions. Those are called self-healing collodion babies. Unfortunately, there is no cure. People suffering from ichthyosis have to hydrate their skin, use eye drops, avoid overheating, and sometimes undergo psychotherapy. 6. A werewolf syndrome. Hypertrichosis, the excessive growth of hair. There are 2 types of this disease: generalized, when the whole body is covered with excessive hair, and localized, when only one part of the body is affected. It may be a genetic disorder, but the acquired forms of hypertrichosis are more common. They can be caused, for example, by cancer, the side effects of drugs, also by eating disorders. One of the acquired forms of hypertrichosis is so-called malignant Down. Unfortunately, there is no cure for any congenital forms present at birth of hypertrichosis. In past times, those unfortunate ones were often put on displays in circuses and fairs. Today, with new developments in hair-removing technologies, the disease is more manageable, especially those concerning the permanent hair removing like electrolysis or laser. 5. Progeria. From Greek pro, meaning before, premature, and geras, old age. Progeria, a very rare autosomal dominant genetic disorder causing people to rapidly age at the very early stages of life. Sadly, it's rather unusual for the people with progeria to live up to their 20s. Most of them die in their teens from atherosclerosis, causing heart failure or stroke. However, there are cases of women suffering from progeria to deliver healthy babies. There is no known cure for progeria. Treatment is mostly concentrated on preventing heart-related problems. One of the world's longest-living people with progeria was South African DJ Leon Botha, often performing with the band The Antwoord. He died due to progeria complications a day after his 26th birthday. 4. Blue skin disorder, methemoglobinemia, a condition of elevated methemoglobin in the blood. Methemoglobin is an abnormal hemoglobin that cannot bind oxygen, so it's unable to carry oxygen to tissues. That is why people with low levels of oxygen are blue, and the arterial blood of such people is brown instead of being red. It can be either acquired via chemical compounds limiting oxygen in the blood, or it can be genetically based. In order to be born with blue skin, two parents have to carry the recessive methemoglobinemia gene. An example of this disorder is the family of blue Fugates from Kentucky, people who pass their blue skin from generation to generation. Here is another example of blue skin disorder, the most famous blue man, but he neither was born this way nor suffered from the lack of oxygen. This is an example of argyria, an irreversible condition caused by an excessive exposure to silver compounds. Surprisingly, many people still risk turning blue by using colloidal silver as a remedy for every ailment from dermatitis to acid reflux. 3. Polydactyly. It basically means having more fingers and or toes than God wanted you to have. This genetic mutation affects animals as well. There are three main types of polydactyly: ulnar, extra fingers close to the pinky finger, the most common type; radial, more fingers grow close to the thumb; or central, which is very rare, when you can be rude twice as much. Those extra fingers are often removed shortly after birth, but sometimes when the procedure would be too complicated, they are left alone. Some people with polydactyly find extra fingers extra useful. Hell, some even are famous for it, especially in Bollywood. Do you high six with this guy? 2. Lionitis. Medical term is craniodiaphyseal dysplasia, or CDD. It's a very rare autosomal recessive bone disorder that accumulates calcium in the skull, disfiguring the face and reducing life expectancy. There is only about 20 known cases of this disorder. The calcium buildup constricts spinal cord, finally causing death in the young age. The most famous case was this of Roy Lee Rocky Dennis, a 16-year-old victim of this unusual disease. He was portrayed by Eric Stoltz, with Cher playing his mother in a 1985 Peter Bogdanovich movie Mask. 1. Local gigantism. Here we will focus only on the congenital aspect of this condition, because acquiring local gigantism is pretty common. It can be caused by inflammation, tumor, or even a parasite. You have no influence on congenital aspect, and very often nothing can be done. Local gigantism is more common in fingers and toes, where it's called macrodactyly. One of the people suffering from this condition is Mohammad Kaleem from India. His hands from wrist to fingertips have grown to 33 centimeters, which is 13 inches. There are many similar cases. Local gigantism has also affected a British woman, Mandy Sellers, who has gigantic legs. Unfortunately, due to many complications, she had one leg amputated, and the other one is also in bad condition. Mandy first was thought to suffer from the Proteus syndrome, but it happened to be a misdiagnosis. By the way, Proteus syndrome is the unpredictable growing of many body parts. Usually, people post as an example of this syndrome a case of Joseph Merrick, famous The Elephant Man, whose history was even filmed by David Lynch in 1980. However, the DNA tests from 2003 were inconclusive about his condition. This is Sain Mumtaz from Pakistan, who suffers from this syndrome. So there you have it, 10 strange medical conditions that you may store in your genes for future generations. Disturbing, right? But what can you do? I tell you, you can subscribe to us now. Till the next time, and stay healthy.